I'm gonna get some isolated drinking noises here for you.
Gulp, 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 gulp.
Welcome to the Trash Cats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we have some art news and some regular news. Today's a news day. We've been under so much pressure from our editors and our producers. We need to get some legit material out or we're going to be fired.
Yeah, this is important stuff we're dealing with today. If it was material, it would be hazardous.
Fucking tune in and drop out. We're ready to go.
How's your week been, man?
It's been busy. Fucking season started at work, so
you've been under the gun.
Yeah.
Your boss has got a gun on you 8 hours a day. Back to work.
Well, I mean, why else would I show up and do the work if I don't have a gun on me? No, but we've been pretty solid, and we're looking at being extremely busy for the next probably 5 to 6 months.
Yeah,
which is good.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, how you been?
This week has been decent. I feel kind of creatively re-energized, so I'm trying to get back in the flow of things a bit. But I've been kind of running myself a bit ragged, but I'm in the mix, on the grind, and we're shaking and grooving, baby.
Goddamn right we are.
So, all right, we got a handful of just different news stuff and different art stuff, and then we're just gonna kind of freestyle today. But I want to kick it off. If anyone remembers, they need to let me know. But we did an episode, and I called this publicly. I know I mentioned it to you, my mom, and Sarah. The week of the invasion, I made a hard prediction. I put it all on the line. I pulled the last block of the Jenga tower, and I predicted that Vladimir Putin, the horsefucker, was sick. I saw something in a breakdown video about the invasion of how he looked bloated, and I was doing some research, and I called it that week that I thought he was critically ill, and that the invasion was an emotional thing where he needs to leave his legacy, right? He's such a logic guy. He's been so strategic in how he's handled the Russian future, and it's so uncharacteristic for him. So I made that call, and today it all came together. And so there was an article by the New York Post, and this is leaked information. I believe security chief, head of Russian, whatever, but it has not been validated by the U.S. yet. But they're posting about it in the newspapers currently. But supposedly, Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to undergo cancer surgery and temporarily hand over power to a hardline former federal police chief, according to news reports. Putin will transfer control over Russia's government to Nikolai Petrovich, head of Russian Federal Police's Security Council, while he's incapacitated during and after the procedure, according to a video from a mysterious Telegram channel, General SVR, on Saturday. The channel, which is purportedly run by a former Russian intelligence service lieutenant general known by the pseudonym Viktor Mikhailovich. So it goes on to say, you can see in his recent interviews, he's been shaky and bloated, and supposedly they believe he has cancer and needs these surgeries. There is some paper reporting that he has had multiple different types of digestive cancer, and he's had multiple different treatments, and that he was supposedly arranged to have surgery earlier this month, and he decided not to. And apparently now it is imminent that he needs to. And one of the interesting, juicy little details is that supposedly Putin had kind of felt that modern medicine was failing him. So he kind of went back to some old school Russian traditional ways of trying to treat his illness. Oh,
yeah, I read about that.
There's also belief he has Parkinson's, which may explain some of his decision making. But Putin is said to bathe in the blood extracted from deer antlers, which are hacked off while they are growing and still full of fresh blood. The sickening antler baths are an alternative therapy in this Altai region of Russia, which borders Kazakhstan and Mongolia. This is unconfirmed, but I feel strongly about it. I think I got this one.
Yeah, you nailed it. Hit the nail on the head.
Because it's so out of his character. Even Biden made some interesting comments early on about how, they were in this power struggle and Putin was testing him. But this is, it would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Which, we all cling to reasons for things to make sense. And maybe this is counterintelligence bullshit, but I have a feeling things are going to start shaking up.
That might be good, that might be bad.
Yeah, because think of what a dying Putin would be willing to do. Like, he says he's willing to drop nukes. He's the type of person that I believe him when he says that.
Yeah.
And I think we've underestimated the will he has to attempt to leave something for the Russian people. And he might, completely undo that and destroy them. But I think for him, the chance of rolling the dice is worth it, especially when he's dying.
Yeah. I mean, what was the televangelist we had on, we were talking about not too long ago, that whole...
that we personally interviewed in our studio?
Yeah, exactly.
Due to demands by our producers.
That was Pat Robertson talking about
that shaky old bitch.
And he's saying, he's bluffing. He's bluffing. Yeah, go test him.
Right.
I still stand up. Give him a helmet and a gun and send him to Russia.
Send him out.
Oh, goddamn Pat Robertson.
So that's one of the kind of political things going on. The other quick art shout out I want to do, an honorable mention. If anyone's not familiar with this YouTube channel, I highly recommend checking out Soft White Underbelly. So the guy who started this is a professional photographer, and he's known and highly respected for his portraits of people. And at some point during his career, he ended up gravitating towards Skid Row, right? And he would take pictures of the people, primarily homeless people that lived there. And they were those type of photos that had such great character and depth, right? Like where you really can see someone for who they are. It shows a lot of emotion and just of the state of the world, the state of their life, all those good things. And from my understanding, this photographer kind of became a pillar in the community there. And you can hear him speak occasionally throughout the interviews. He's highly respected by the people he is interviewing. And they deeply care about him. And it sounds like he goes out of his way to help people as much as he can. And as time progresses, he's doing these still photography portraits of the people there. He ends up setting up just a walk-in studio near Skid Row with just a simple backdrop. And the idea was that these people at any time could basically go to him and decide they want to share and record their story and share it with the world. And he just sits down with the camera and he occasionally asks questions, but he mostly just lets these people talk. And it is really brilliant. There's a lot of them that are kind of like whatever, but I've always said, even with something like a Rogan or whatever, like you really can learn something from anyone. It doesn't, some of these people, it's so easy to judge right away, but man, just some beautiful, incredible stories. He's interviewing, a lot of homeless people, drug addicts, prostitutes, cops even. There's been like fetishists, doctors, all kinds of people that you might not expect them to be so far down on their luck that they're living on Skid Row, and other people that just choose to seek him out because he does such provocative interviews. I listened to one recently. It was with a pimp that during his interview, he's telling the stories of how he beat and raped women, like candidly. And it's the type of thing where it's just so abnormal to hear that side of a story,
Right. Yeah.
I just highly recommend it. It's like a pure empathy kind of thing where it doesn't matter how shitty not that most of the people are, but just how sad, messed up, terrible someone's story is. It's just a chance for them to tell it. And he's just such a good listener. I definitely recommend checking out a recent one with Mike Dodd. He's known, he's become infamous, but he's known as one of New York's most corrupt cops. And he went to jail for all his misdeeds. He was selling coke and committing great violence as a cop in the fear era of New York stuff. There's movies and documentaries about him. Very interesting. But the ones that get me the most are, I think, just the normal people that are there. And there's also a really good one with the Dragon Lady. Do you know that highly tattooed, modded?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did one that's really cool. And I got in a debate in the comments about that because so many people just were so fucking cruel in the comments. But her whole story was just about love and empathy. I just highly recommend. I keep sharing it with anyone who will listen. He posts an interview every day nearly.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be hitting these up.
Yeah.
Like as soon as we get off of here.
Some of them are hard to listen to, and some are just not terribly profound, but there's always something. And it's just really cool to hear just any stranger at a bus stop tell their story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah, that's huge. That's one of those things I've definitely thought about, living in cities or, even just customers I meet, and it's like, I wonder what their life is like outside of here. Like they leave here and, I don't know. Sorry, my cat is fucking up my mic. They leave here and they have a whole life and everything. And it's like, when you think about people like that in a way that well, what do they do? And you meet some people that's like, I can't, they live such a different perspective of life.
Yeah.
Than you do. And you can't imagine that because you're not there. If you haven't been there, then you don't, I don't know. It's hard to put it into perspective without hearing it firsthand. It's hard to bring up in conversation with someone you don't know. It's impossible to bring up in conversation with someone you don't know without, coming across really shitty or.
I think it's doable. It's just hard.
Yeah.
I think it's a skill to be able to, not that I'm saying I'm particularly good with it, but to have the both social skills and intuition to know how to approach someone and kind of gently, I don't know, pry or draw that conversation out of a person to make someone willing, to make someone feel the want to share their story.
Yeah. And for me, because I feel like it's got to be a give and take. If you're asking them about themselves, you have to be willing to open up about yourself as well. And
most people aren't super willing to be that open about their own story because it's almost a bartering. I feel like that type of thing gets compared to a dance a lot. But I think it's less of a dance. It's more of a trade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I can see that. That's how I feel about it too.
Unless the person is deliberately wants to unburden or unload parts of themselves to you. It's more of a trade. You're giving a piece of who you are, and then they get to decide if they want to show you a piece of who they are too. And you kind of sit at a table and you're pulling little chunks of yourself out, and it's like, hey, look at this. This is what happened. This is this part of me, and they get to decide if they want to put another piece of themselves on the table. And as that conversation goes on, you just have a table full of all these pieces of each other, and you get to see what the pieces make, what the picture looks like, you know?
Right.
I miss doing more of that because against my will, I was in more of those social situations of like fucking, whether it was an AA meeting or group therapy, all those different type of things where you're meeting new strangers. We've talked about it before, the bonding through trauma or through intense circumstances. Those kind of settings, you learn a lot about a person very quickly.
Yeah. I was just going to say that the restaurant industry is a lot like that. You know, you get people from all walks of life, but most people that are working in, you know, kitchen jobs are doing like, you know, picking up dishwasher shifts or like prep kitchen stuff. Like it's either like career culinary people that are like in it because they for the love of the game, or it's, you know, people that are down on their luck and need a job. It's you know, it's just those two. So you do learn, you meet these people that are, you know, that have been through hardships and have, you know, or going through it at least right now. And it's like to get close to them and hear more of their story is always a treat.
There's a lot of vulnerability in those transition periods.
How do you mean? Like which transition period?
Whether it's a new job or a unique struggle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity to connect or learn about a person during those times.
And I've definitely learned from the restaurant industry, like you never judge a book by its cover, number one. But two is, you know, even within the first couple weeks of meeting someone, like give them the space to like open up. As you know, especially when you start a new job, I feel like that's one that like for at least the first couple weeks, maybe the first couple months even, you're on your best behavior kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause you're trying to solidify the job and whatever. And like, so like that person, it likely isn't that person, you know, or they are, but to a lesser degree, like they're putting on their, you know, their work hat. And as you get to know them more, you see them more often, you know, like you see them 4 or 5 days out of the week, you really start to break down barriers with people. And it's like, I do enjoy that especially about the restaurant industry, because I'm sure you get that in all jobs, but in some of the harder ones where it's like, it's stressful every day. You do have that shared trauma kind of thing. And so you bond a lot quicker because of it. You really get to know people more, and like, you know, you're sharing a drink after work or something like that. And you have more opportunities to connect with people.
Yeah. It is really interesting, the different like facets of a person's life too. I don't want to get too much into detail, but when selling drugs, you're granted a very unique amount of access to a person's life because they don't value you and you're not there regularly, and you're meeting them at a potentially very vulnerable part of their life that they may not share with others. It is crazy what some people will let you see, you know? There was so many people, like, whether they're street people or professionals, that you get such a different perspective of their life that they may hide from people too. I really enjoy the voyeurism of I don't know, of people's lives like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, even like on the lower end of that, of just like people watching. Like
that one doesn't get
not like in a like stalkerish way of any kind, but like I used to go, when I lived in Toronto, it was a really good spot. I lived in downtown Toronto, and I would walk over to Yonge and Dundas Square, and I would sit there and I would draw people because they have like concerts all during the summertime, and it's like like really busy intersections, so people would be like waiting at the crosswalk for a long time, and I would park up right next to the Eaton Center there, and I would draw, just do like gesture sketches of like. Try to like break down people's like skeletal form and the way they're standing and poses like that. And like that was a fun exercise for me, but I would watch there just be so many different people, different kinds of people coming through there. And just watching them behave, either they're by themselves or they're, with friends or something. And like that social, just watching the way other people act in public, whether it's, finding a resemblance to how, you behave or seeing something that's wildly different than you do. I always thought that was interesting.
Have you picked up on any certain tells or characteristics that you can learn a lot from? I have a couple that come to mind.
Yeah, give me some examples, because I know I have some, it's just they're not clicking. It's one of those like it when you see it kind of thing.
Yeah, for me, the two that I try to pay attention to, like whether it's a new friend, a person I'm interested, or just someone I'm wary of, the two things are how they move their body, especially walking, and their skin. I feel like
skin is a big one.
I feel like you can learn way more about a person from their skin than their eyes. Like the eyes are an intuitive type of thing. That's I was going to say
eye contact is the other one.
But it's something that though.
It can be so there. I know there's the thing about like shoplifting, like the people that do like the retail security shit, and they're looking. One of the first things they look for in people is like when they come in the store, like they're walking around not making eye contact with anyone. It's not a guarantee, but it's a red flag, if you will.
It is and it isn't. There's really interesting research on police interrogations with both eye contact and like basic body language, like arms crossed, arms not crossed. And I agree. There's something so intuitive and important about the eyes, whether they can keep contact, avoid it, and all those things. But what seems to be apparent is that there are so many different types of people. Like if they're a normal, well-minded person, you can learn a lot from the eyes. But there's so many different like anxiety disorders, drugs, all those different things that affect a person's confidence, where the eyes can make you feel like you can like intuate. How would you say that?
You can infer.
Sure. A lot from a person, but it might be very deceiving what you pick up too. Does that?
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you on that. I guess I more meant that it can be a thing. It's especially in the example that I gave, the retail security thing. It's like, it's not that like, oh, this person's here to steal. It's like, maybe we should keep an eye on that person.
Yeah.
And it's not in a way that like, oh, you don't want to. It is in that case an innocent until proven guilty thing, but it's if your job is to try to pick up on things like that, you notice patterns.
I think
the problem while there is
receptive.
Right. So while there are of course outliers to that, there are, and many to the point where you might not even be able to use the word outliers. There are still behavioral, like you said, the way someone moves even. It's like there are ways to pick up that something isn't right or something isn't in the norm, and maybe that's their mental health or their, something they're on, or maybe it's because they're doing something sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just tricky. You're right that it's intuitive, and I think that's why, whether it's security, cops, whatever, if they stick to hard rules on what body language or action or whatever tells you XYZ, it's very often wrong.
Yeah, because
it sucks because a lot of the people who have to do that type of stuff professionally tend to think they're really good at it.
Yeah,
and especially with interrogations, the latest research I saw was like, regardless of how good an interrogator is at predicting a person's guilt or innocence, and despite what professional techniques they use, on average, they are it's like 51% right or wrong on reading body language.
No, and they
do it for a living.
To counteract my own point that I mentioned earlier, of course, there is also such a thing as too much eye contact.
Yeah.
As an example, I was at work the other day, and someone in the market that we know to be a fucking weirdo, he came over, and it's not that I think that he's got the potential to be hazardous, but I don't think that's his intention. But he only stops over when my female coworker is there. That's number one. Or he'll come over, he'll look over and see just me there, and he'll do another lap until she gets back or until she's there.
Can I kindly interrupt
Please.
You? And I know you're going to expand.
Yeah, of course.
But based solely just off that, what makes you be willing to give him the benefit of the doubt? That he's not
dangerous?
Yeah, not necessarily not dangerous, but that he isn't some sort of like creep or problematic.
He's definitely a creep.
Okay.
No, he's definitely a creep. That's confirmed. He's just
you feel like he's just
I don't think he's a creep in the way that he's going to act on it outside of someone's consent.
Because to be fair, like a lot of people are creeps or are
right.
like act socially inappropriate about women or around women, but it's not that they have negative intentions. They also can just like not know how to,
right,
to act.
Exactly.
Like they're socially maladjusted
or
inexperienced, whatever. So it's hard to know sometimes.
Right. So this guy came up the other day, and he'll come over and he'll just like lean on the bar and like talk to her and like have a full on conversation, like watch her work kind of thing. And so the other day he came up and he was like ear to ear, like wide grin, eyes like super like hyper open, and was like walking in, and I saw him, and then I looked over and she saw him, turned around and like started washing dishes to like get away from it. So I stepped in and started talking to him, and
that sucks.
Yeah. So I did that, and he eventually was just like, I guess he realized that she wasn't going to talk to him, and he walked away. Didn't even order anything.
Because she expressed.
Oh yeah. So one of the first shifts I worked with her, I was asking her about. It wasn't really the first, but it was after she had been working there for a while, and I said, "So how do you like it?" And it's like, "It's pretty good. I really like it, but there's this one guy that's kind of creepy and yada yada." And I had seen him before. He'd been a customer before when I was working that shift, and I noticed that like as soon as he came in and she pointed him out, like that's the guy that that's creepy. I was like, oh yeah, no, I definitely know that guy. He's just weird, like uncomfortable even to talk to, like just me and him before she was there. So
that's so shitty.
Yeah.
Like that really sucks. Like when is it too much?
Exactly. And that's the point where it's like, I can't
like
confirm that he's not dangerous in any way. He doesn't come across to me that way, but, she might give you a very different answer, and in the way that, like, he knows, I'm not sure that he knows where she works out, besides this place, but like he knows that she, what her other job is and asks her about it all the time.
Dude, I feel like that's the type of thing you're much better off erring on the side of caution.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's one of those things where it's like like I said, the point was he does make eye contact, to a degree that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I've even thought about that before. Like, I've been trying to be more personable especially when we get really busy at work and like I'm taking people's orders or whatever, and I'm looking down at the computer and I'm talking to them. I'm not looking at them. So that's only when we're busy. Usually it's fine, but I'll stop and I'll look up at them to try to make it seem more personable, a more relatable reaction. But I feel like you can tell that it's forced. So I try not to do it too much because it's like, I wouldn't be doing this. I'm doing this because I feel like it's normal. And if you're doing something to try to feel normal, that might come across as being even weirder than it would, to just not do it.
I think more and more people probably would prefer you don't look up. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I think more people today are less comfortable making direct eye contact with people than even like earlier in our lives.
Yeah. It's one of those, because I've put it into my own. I mean, I have some mild social anxiety anyways, where like if I can go into a place and not have to look someone in the eyes, I'm super cool with that. Not in the way that like I prefer it, but it definitely doesn't bother me.
I would greatly prefer it.
I mean,
like not
if I'm talking to someone, I'm looking at them in the eyes, that doesn't bother me if it's not like an extended conversation. If it's just like, hey, here's, what do you want? I want this thing. Okay, cool. That'll be $9. And then, whatever, you walk away. But it's, I've definitely realized that after being in like a coffee shop or something, and realized like, I didn't even see, don't remember the people's faces in there, just didn't even pay attention to it. Yeah. Like I'm super cool with that. More people probably feel that way as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, that's part of why the delivery shit's such a big thing right now. Like the fact that you can not even have to leave your house. You don't have to look at people. Like now you can get it just dropped off on your doorstep and they walk away. And like that's, so many people love that option because it's, you're telling me I don't have to look at another human right now? Perfect.
Yeah.
And still get all the things that I want to. Life is good. This is America.
Yeah, I like how things have been since COVID.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like a bunch of dumb people died. We're not expected to be in contact or communication with people as much. It's nice.
If you really don't want to see someone, you can say, oh man, I got COVID. I can't come over.
I always have COVID.
I was near someone. My coworker just told me they think they have COVID. They're getting tested, but until they they get the results back, I can't come over.
This will kind of lead into one of these other recent news stories, but it's been interesting how there's been an increasing amount of stories regarding underpopulation right now. Like there's a weird push for there for like the US and other countries to get birth rates up.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so fucking creepy.
Yeah, that's super fucking weird.
They're worried about the price of avocados and grain from underpopulation 8 years from now. They want us to fuck more and get our hormone levels higher. It's very odd. And then at the same time, we're getting rid of abortion.
Yeah, there are so many fucking people. I mean, in the world in general, but like also, here, I don't know. It just seems so weird. It's something that I've been concerned about since late middle school, I think, is when I realized like the growth of population has been outrageous over the last 40 years compared to compared to the multiple hundreds of years before it.
Yeah, I think honestly, what one of the big reasons that this sounds conspiracy, but it's not. What I'll say is a lot of the people pushing to get birth rates up are the same people that want to preserve their race. Because the birth rates of non-white people are much higher than white people. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the same people pushing for U.S. needs to get their testosterone up and have families and trad lifestyle. They're really saying something else, right? I don't think most people that are concerned about underpopulation really care about underpopulation. They care about underpopulation of their people. I think that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah, that's...
Are you familiar with some of these arguments?
Yeah, I can definitely... Yeah, I am, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I was just looking up a graph, like the growth rate in population, like one of the biggest spikes the country's ever seen, and just like the rate, not like the amount, but just the rate in amount of time was baby boomers, right? Like that was a huge thing. And then so right now it's about on par with that. Plus also there are over 150 million more people in the country than there were then.
Right. But the expectation is, especially with more people, that the rate would be continuous, if not higher. And because birth rates, smaller families, all those things are down, even though the numbers are up, the rate's down a lot. And it affects things like the national debt, projections of food supply, all those things. So I don't even know who the fuck these people are, powers that be, or people with very specific reasons why are concerned about the economic potential downsides of having less people, because you have less of a, the upper class percentages will stay the same, but you'll have a lesser percentage of lower class people that takes the unskilled jobs. So if the birth rates are lower percentage now, 10 years from now, you have less people to farm and those type of things. And that's where a lot of the concerns come from on an economic level.
I feel like the less people farming is more in danger by more jobs being, by advancement of technology shit than.
But that's because it's not so much as a loss as a replacement, right? Because you don't lose the work. It's interesting though, dude. This abortion leak is crazy though. Apparently I thought that it was a totally unique thing, but it supposedly has happened before. But that the Supreme Court, supposedly their final draft on their ruling on Roe vs. Wade was leaked to Politico, I believe. And it was basically a writing of their final decision of them turning over Roe vs. Wade and I believe another, the Casey one. And now states are going to be able to choose if abortion's legal or not. I believe it's after 15 weeks is the main thing, but I think there's 13 states currently or are in process of, outlawing their own abortion laws. So supposedly the final decision will come out in a couple months, and all these states that have it lined up will be able to, totally or at least mostly outlaw abortion. And unless this leaking causes a lot of backlash, it's more than likely going to go through.
It's pretty fucked up.
Super fucked up.
Yeah.
The only good, I'm trying to be positive because I've railed on abortion before, and I thought it was interesting. You feel a little more empowered.
Yeah. Since we last discussed it, my previous stance was that I feel strongly that everybody should have the right to choose to have an abortion if they want to, and but I felt uncomfortable about being outspoken about it. I have since, after much thinking about what we had talked about and discussing with other people, have turned that no, I should be more outspoken about it. That everybody deserves the right to choose to have an abortion should they need to.
Yeah, my stance has always been extremely aggressive. I believe in abortion so much. I believe every man, woman, and child in the world should have an abortion right fucking now. We should abort everything we can because that's how fucking based abortion is. So, and in that episode, and this is before all this, we were talking about it. We know they're going to be targeting, gay marriage and sodomy laws next. Like, these are the things that they want to target. So I feel like you need people that are both reasonable and extreme on any issue to fight back on all ends of the spectrum of the argument. And I always feel comfortable being aggressive or extreme on it. But the reality is that people are fighting very hard to regress our freedoms.
Right. I feel like, especially the gay marriage thing, that one gets me because it's like, I don't know, I guess it even, was it 2015 when it finally was, or was it 2005? I think it was 2005. Jesus, why do I not remember this? Anyways, it feels like it was so long ago.
State by state.
Mostly. No, as like a federal thing that it became legal. Let me look it up so I don't sound like a complete idiot.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think that's probably why we don't remember, because states did it individually, and then they were contested, and then eventually it went federal. But it was a pretty long process, because I'm pretty sure California had gay marriage like 10 years before we did.
Right. Yeah. So 2013, the United States. Okay, it was 2015. It feels like it was a long time ago, but it also, I remember at the time thinking like, it's fucking absurd that it took that long.
Same with women voting. I mean,
yeah, but it's like, it feels like it was such a long time ago, but really that was fucking 7 years ago. Like, in my mind, it's like, why are we still fighting about this? But it's like people had never stopped fighting about it.
The second these things changed, they have been planning for decades to turn it right back. And it's not
even decades. It hasn't even been a decade since.
Well, more than just the
federal, but you're talking about in states.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I think we need to be pretty aggressive, because the people that spend their lives plotting or funding against these things are more aggressive and have more resources.
Yeah, pretty.
Kentucky,
wild.
I believe, just they have something in the works. I think Ohio will stay chill, but
they'll stay chill.
It's so frustrating though, man. Yeah,
people suck.
Very much.
Get upset over the dumbest shit that doesn't even affect them. And so much of it's religion.
It's all religion. It is all. That's what
I think it's all religion. I think there are a lot of people that, maybe not a lot of people. There are some people that tell themselves it's not. And it's about morals and shit like that, or whatever fucking reason, nuclear family reason they can think of.
All right, you remember the big atheist YouTube stage, right? The whole internet atheist argument.
Yeah.
My Lady, Fedora, all the cringe atheist shit. But the reason I struggle to have a lot of these conversations with people I disagree with is because I strongly believe it always goes back to core fundamental beliefs. And whether that is God or religion, it dictates everything.
Right.
And I feel like in modern internet spaces, and specifically atheist spaces online, no one is aggressive. It's all like soft-skinned, can't offend people, and we're losing ground and ceding arguments to people who believe batshit crazy stuff, and we act like their religion is not a problem. It's like, what they believe, their true beliefs and how they see the world, that doesn't matter. It's just we got to convince them to vote a little bit different about abortion.
Right, yeah.
It's like, how is that possible?
Exactly.
You can't change that person's vote if they believe that.
If their
stuff.
entire perspective on life is so skewed from reality.
Right, but we don't want to offend them. You don't want to say fuck their God.
Right.
You don't want to, make their imaginary sky man angry at you, because that would be rude and
yeah, because that would be rude,
unclassy.
But they should be free to control what other people can and can't do, based on their beliefs that they believe in, and I don't. Yeah,
dude, it's probably really good I was not born a woman or part of a minority. I think I would go crazy, like in the sense like. I think the amount of injustice I would not be able to handle. Like,
you would have hurt.
I'm not expressing it. I think so, because I feel like I've made it to 30. I haven't done anything too crazy yet. The cops have got my shit before. They didn't arrest me.
Yeah, and you're here today.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I've skated mostly clean, right? But I feel the type of rage inside of me that would end half the people on Earth. And I feel if I was just put in smaller boxes with less and less freedom or control, like, there's no fucking way. Like, fuck all this shit, man. I wish we didn't need to depend on other people in society so much. But we can't. We're all so interwoven and connected, whether we want to or not.
Right.
I have fury for the world. It used to be encumbering, right? It used to fuck up my life constantly, but it just has to be motivation, and that's what I was getting to. The positives.
Here's the point.
Yeah, the only positives of this is, since Roe vs. Wade was passed, it has always been a very tenuous case of law. It was not strong, right? This was something they decided at the time based on privacy laws. This wasn't like codified strong shit. This was off a court case. We decided a woman has right to privacy, and that includes the privacy to have an abortion. It was like tenuous law at the time and highly contested. It was always weak, and it hasn't been tested that much since it was passed. So the possible upsides are, today or yesterday, Biden was asked if he was going to, as president, try to legislate this, and he basically said no, which is so insane. He said, I'm not going to look at that right now, maybe down the line, but in the meantime, you need to vote harder and put the right people in place, right? but he ran saying he was going to protect it, right? So it's so stupid. But the only upsides are that hopefully with the midterms approaching, Democrats are projected to get crushed, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully this type of major fundamental issue empowers a lot of people, gets the numbers up, and pushes people to the polls and motivates our fucking lazy politicians to try to codify something much more foolproof that in the future won't be able to be taken away as easily as people are taking it away now.
Right.
Those are the upside, because I think it's going to be 50-50 in most states for a little while, but hopefully it fuels a lot of people to really fight, because it's like 69 plus percent of the country is pro-choice, but and only like 17% of the U.S. are strongly opposed to abortion in all case scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Most people are in the middle, but the majority believe pro-choice. But so we have a small amount of people working night and day tirelessly for decades to push through a choice against the majority. So hopefully it fuels the majority to take better action again.
Yeah. You ever thought about getting into government?
No. Fuck that. I do know. I know one or two local politicians, and it is a scummy world, dude. I've seen, I think, more crime out of the politician-y people I know than just about anyone else I've ever met.
You know,
very interesting.
That's the thing that drives me wild, is that, because I have thought about it.
You'd be great.
The problem is I'm broke. I don't have the money to do it.
You don't necessarily need the money. It's kind of...
I argue against that.
Dude, that is a thing. The reality is that is a thing the rich people say to keep the poor people. It is hard.
I don't think it's a thing that the rich people say. I think it's more of a reality than you're giving it credit for, because
I disagree.
You can get out and try to put your name out, like even like trying to promote a business, even when you're trying to get your name out there to people that aren't looking for you. They're not looking for that. And you're trying to get your name into people's heads. It costs money.
It's different, though. You're right that it is incredibly unfair, but there are lots of people that do it. Last podcast on the left, Ben Kissel. He has a documentary about him running for mayor of New York, I believe. And he, in the end, maybe gets less than 5% of the vote, if not much less. Mm-hmm. But he's able to get somewhere in a couple years. It's a small somewhere, but it's somewhere. AOC, not the biggest fan. She had no money, no initial startup.
So she was she worked at like a bar or something, right?
Yeah. It always starts with no money, but the thing is just like a good business idea, there really is so much fucking capital out there. People fund the right people, but it's the type of thing you can't do quickly. With money, you like Bilderberg, whatever, he was at the presidential election debates last year, right?
Yeah.
Or not last year, and he came in 2 months before the election. He, in theory, could have been president, right? And that was because he spent like $20 billion to be there. And he failed miserably, right? But that's a perfect example of how money can catapult you to the top of politics in no time. But a poor person, a normal person, it's still doable. But you have
work harder to get it.
You have to, devote your whole life to get anywhere.
Yeah, that's where it's like if I had started 12 years ago, and or longer than that, doing like the student government shit or whatever, anything like that, not like student government. That's not the wrong. I'm thinking of like the
student council.
No, not even that. I'm thinking of what do they call that? Like the world, the where they LARP, that they are the world government shits, and they do shit like that. Like if I had studied more shit like that and like got more into social studies and like shit like that, I would have had a better chance at it. Well, not so what I'm saying now is when do I launch my campaign, and what do I run for? What do I go straight for Senate?
All politics is local politics. You would have more success, control, whatever, in your direct area.
Governor?
Why would you be interested in it? I'm curious. I kind of know why, but I don't really understand.
Well, it's not so much that I'm interested in it, and more that I know that I'm at least smart enough. I know that I'm at least as good of a critical thinker as anyone else that's doing it. So, if I want to see change, true, you can go, try to put someone there, but there are so few people, especially from our generation, that are getting into politics because it fucking sucks.
Then why wouldn't you do it?
Because we need representation.
No, I'm saying why wouldn't you do it?
Oh, why wouldn't I do it? Because it would suck.
It sounds like you're
No, I'm very aware of what I'm saying. I'm saying that it sucks. And I'd rather do something that I enjoy. But but if no one else is doing it, if no one else is being the representation that I want, then my next thought is like, well, maybe I should be doing it.
I don't think that's a bad thought. My natural instinct is to leave in general. You're saying you want to rise to, people are failing you. You want to stand up. I'm saying typically in that type of situation, people are failing me. I want to leave.
And go where though?
Anywhere. I don't give a fuck. I'll die in a battle in a jungle. I don't care. I really think I'd be okay with that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm not quite there. I got shit to do tomorrow.
Well, the part that confuses me though is why would you not be willing to dip your toes in the water a little bit?
It's not that I'm not willing to. It's that I don't want to. It's that the end goal comes with, because it comes with so much work involved. If I would have to change my lifestyle enough to be informed as I would want to be, on various issues and shit like that, to understand the various members of Congress that I'd be talking to, or, not Congress, but, the other people that I'd be working with, to understand them and research them more. It would require an entire shift in the way that I live my life right now. All of my free time that I have right now, or all the time that I devote to, my current career, anything like that, I would have to turn and shift that to get the results that I want.
And I think that's what most people don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
but I will say there's various levels though. Like even if you're just clowning on your local people or having debates or conversations, writing things, there could be, small levels to be more active.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying you need to be doing that.
Right, but I'm saying there are already people doing that, and it's not causing enough of a change.
I don't think there's that many people doing it. I really think that's a huge part of the problem.
I mean, you have like the people doing like online debates and stuff like that, and it's like there are a group of people that are seeing that and they're changing views on it, but I don't think it's enough of an effort for what I want to see, for what I would rather try to, I don't know. Like for me, it's the thing that I feel like growing up in school, it felt like there was so much, it just felt like the entire idea of running for government was like, it's an old man's game kind of thing. It's for It's not for you. It's, you know, these are the elites. These are the people in charge. You know, it wasn't ever, you know, no one was telling us like, hey, you know, you should consider this, you know, this is the country the way it is now, the country the way it is up to you. You know, if you get into these lanes and you do this, then it was always, you know, I felt like we were always like, oh, you want to go to, you know, a good school so you could be a doctor or a lawyer or some, you know, some shit like that. It wasn't like.
That's it. You're basically saying you believed in the American dream. I mean, that's what they really what it came. Yeah, they taught us that like, oh, it's being taken care of so that you can do anything you want to do, and which is great, but if it's not being, you know, oh, you're being represented by, you know, your peers and your people, and it's like, but we're not. Here's the
it's
thing.
The same people that have been in office for the last, you know, 30, 40 years.
Here's the thing about the American dream. It's they lie. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
They lie.
Yeah.
Dreams are for when you're asleep.
Yeah.
But over here at the Trash Cat, we're wide awake.
You don't have a white picket fence and a dog and a wife and 2 kids, Steven?
Nope, but I got neighbors that have pigs and chickens and a field the city doesn't cut that bring mice into my house I don't own.
You know, that's basically the same.
Yeah, basically.
As long as you pay your taxes, then, you know, you can believe that you can get there to the white picket fence and the dog and the multiple kids and the...
But part of what you're saying, I'm only picking on you because there's no one else in the room to pick on.
Right, yeah.
And
pick on
and
me.
I'm too apathetic. So you're basically saying you thought the world was one way, right?
No, it's not that I thought the world was one. I mean, I did.
It's just
yeah, go ahead.
So, but you know, you're young, you're a kid, you have stupid fucking adults that lie, right? Because all adults are big dummy heads.
Yeah.
And they say the world is wonderful, there's infinite opportunity, our country's better than all these stupid other poor people, you can be whatever you want and change the world, because that's awesome. And then you grow up and you're like, oh, nope, they lied.
Yeah.
This is a wasteland.
Yeah.
And then part of you is saying, hey, no one else is going to fix it. I can. Right?
Right.
And everyone else.
Not even that I can. That, like, if no one else is trying, I feel like then I should.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's almost like a burden. Like the
exactly.
INRI theory. Right? Somebody has to die or someone has to take the burden. Someone has to carry the cross. Every so often. And it might as well be me, because no one else is going to. I guess I have to fix the country, have to save the world. And what you're going back to in the end is it's fucked. The burden it would cost is more than I can afford to pay.
It's FUBAR, dude. It's fucked up beyond repair.
It is sad to hear, like, I'm just externalizing myself a bit too. But it is sad to hear someone say that.
Yeah.
Right? You're saying I'm capable of fixing it. I know I could. I believe in myself. I have some level of belief in the people. We're all in the same hallway. We can build back better, baby. And then you're like, no, I can't. Fuck this.
But I also feel like
sad.
I picture, so let's say I did have the money. I had the financial backing behind me, and someone said, all right, we're gonna, you know, we'll pay for your campaign, whatever you want to do it how you do it. It would mostly be me getting in front of microphones and groups of people saying, hey, this is fucked. Everyone here is. I can't say that.
I won't believe it. I bleeped the last one.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm gonna take that again. Actually,
it's funnier if we bleep.
Okay. It's everyone here is you know, everyone's so out of their minds with holding back progress in ways that, like, based on ideas that are so archaic and it's not. It is about religion in a way that
it is. It's so much about that.
Burn down all the churches.
See, here's the thing. I think you'd be great. Now, part of what you're saying though is that
until I got on TV on live until I got on a debate and I told everyone on live TV to go burn down your local churches.
That's the only reason I'm not doing debates.
Yeah.
I can't control my anger to someone I hate. I can with someone I respect, but not people I hate. But part of what you're saying is the old ideas and archaic, and the reality is that it is this way because people are selfish. And in a way, and I respect the decision, but you're saying that you're selfish enough not to get involved. Which I understand.
Yes.
That's how I feel.
Yes.
But I
it's
think
easier for me to just say fuck it and not really leave, but like mentally check out.
Yeah, but what I think, if I can kindly suggest, I think it is a smidge hypocritical to not be willing to take the burden if you truly believe it. Now, let me preface.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is hypocritical. You are 100% right on that. I agree.
Which is part of what you don't like about them. So let me run the plot for you.
Yeah.
It would be incredibly naive and almost, if not totally impossible to manifest that and be that political changing of the wind and be the change, right?
Right.
The future of politics stuff is people are celebrities, right? They have their own built-in following, and they, out of fame, are able to transmute that into a political position and play that role for a little while, right?
I.e. our former president, Donald Trump.
And upcoming people. It's really turning into a media celebrity popularity contest more than anything. That's the future, right? Look at Trump, Zelensky, Kanye, all these people.
You have to get your name out there somehow. And by doing that, like, you can invest a bunch of money into, doing, speeches and whatnot, or but to get people to pay attention to you, you really have to be in media of some kind. You have to be
someone,
big on Instagram or big on TikTok or some dumb shit.
So what I'm saying, this is the start of your political campaign today. It's this podcast. We're growing it all the way to the top 10, and we'll use our audience to put you in the White House.
So I'm 5 years away from being eligible to run for president.
So we have
5 years. We have listeners. We have 5 years to make this happen. Share this with everybody. You have the next, not the next, but the one after the next U.S. president on a podcast with you right now.
So let's say, hypothetically, we actually were able to grow to a relatively substantial audience that supported you, they listened to your words every week, and they like your spicy political takes.
Right.
And you actually had a reasonable chance at an office position that would make some sort of impact.
Senate or some shit like that.
Yeah. At that point, I do think it would be fair to say it would be slightly irresponsible to not take that opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, if we agree, I think, in all fairness, if in the future you're asked, why aren't you being more active politically or a political act, any of those things, you get to say that you are. You are building your base.
I'm building my fan base right now.
Yeah, you're crafting your political perspectives. You're figuring out the voting options, and you're building a listener base until someday you can. And if you believe that, it's to the stars. It's to the moon.
All right.
You'll be debating, right? You'll be at the UN giving big special speeches about world
Big
change.
special speeches.
And it'll all be because your trash cat energy.
With my vice president, Steven.
Oh my God. I would go crazy. I'd have so much fun.
You might not be my running mate. You might,
I would carry all the diamonds with my political diplomatic.
You would be my Rasputin. Just whispering cultist shit in my ear. give me a reflection to bounce off of, and then I say, okay, that's too extreme. I'm just gonna dial it back.
Man, it is a tough game. It's one of those things, just like an honest priest or a good teacher. It's like, man, you got to be a little kooky up there to be willing to give your life to that.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? It's a hell of a sacrifice, and that's why there's so many of them that are fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, it sucks.
All right, you want to switch gears to an art one?
Yeah, let's take a hard turn on that.
Now we've solved the world's crisis. All right, here's a new art. I want to ask you about how you feel about this and some of the ethics involved. So check out this link. All right, everybody remembers Google Deep Dream.
Oh, I remember.
I remember. You remember how fun that was?
Yeah,
You'd
absolutely.
Pop in and you'd have to wait when it was in beta stage. It would take a couple days. You'd drop an image in and you would get an image out that was like the ultimate acid, like trippy version of that image, right?
Yeah.
Because it ran your photo through millions of other pictures in an AI system, and it would create patterns out of things. And it had a high penchant for animals and faces. So it would twist whatever photo, piece of art, whatever you turned in, and make a million like dog faces or insect legs and trippy little trees. Like it was just like, it was such a big deal when it came out. You upload an image, wait a couple days, get something back from Google's AI, Deep Dream engine, right?
Yeah, I remember thinking, like, this takes a couple days? Fuck this. I'll look at other people's.
Yeah. But it was a novelty.
Yeah.
Eventually they had video and stuff, and there was some cool... People did some kind of cool stuff with that, but it was goofy.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of lame, but it was fun. Since then, there have been people building AI systems for art. And there's been hundreds of these AIs, and they all have kind of sucked. But the goal was to create a massive database system of cataloged art, photography, and images where you could upload images or type things by text, and the AI would generate artificially generated art. That was the goal. They have always kind of sucked. There's been some capabilities, but lately, and I think in part to the whole NFT era, there has been a massive jump in the capabilities. So this link is a Boing Boing article. I always like them for art news shit. They have an article about the newest AI system called Midjourney. Now, I really like that name, and I'll get into why in a sec. But this new AI, Midjourney, is a new art-making tool, and it is currently in a closed beta. Though both mysterious and obvious, the output suggests AI-powered generative networks trained to perform style transfer. The resulting art is breathtaking. Now, these examples they show, which we will be posting, some of these are generated by text, and the person may input things such as Norman Rockwell by in the style of, and then another artist. So this particular one was Norman Rockwell with nuclear explosion. And it looks like a Rockwell painting of a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
In incredible style and detail. There are people combining artists. You can upload multiple pictures of two opposing artists and see what their style would make. You can do different keywords. We previously looked at some of the landscape AI systems, and they were incredible. But it was a very unique style. This is something incredibly different.
Yeah.
This is indistinguishable at a distance from real art. I mean, it is. So my big question, among other things, these look authentic as fuck, but are they high quality? Most of the AIs would generate these things and they would be like a couple inches, like maybe big enough to view on a phone screen on Instagram, but it was not a high res piece of art. Like it was more of a gimmick. There are all these people right now doing like Bob Ross in the style of Rothko, mixing up all these artists, creating their own unique work, taking images, popping them in, seeing what they get out, remixing them, creating new shit. It's so fucking cool. But we're also seeing a ton of people that may have no artistic talent, experience. You could be a 5-year-old kid and get kind of crafty with it and create stuff that looks like masterpieces. And now people are taking those and immediately selling them as NFTs for potentially lots of money, right? So there's this whole new artificial intelligence art market. This is like booming right now. It's like starting to really pop off. And there's also like artists I really love and respect, amazingly talented artists who are doing it with their own work, combining multiple pieces, seeing what things look like, building a painting or graphic design piece, running it through the AIs, taking what they get back and then recombining that with new work. I mean, it is so cool, the potential, but there comes into question both the ethics, the ownership, a bunch of unique questions that are brand new to these mediums. But what I really like about this particular AI is it being called Midjourney. They're basically saying that this is meant to be like concept art or a stage of your final artwork, and that it kind of is like if somebody had the same inputs, the same pictures, the exact same text, combine things the same way, they would get that same piece of art, right? Mm-hmm. It might change over time as the AI learns, but the piece of art you get back is not unique to the creator. And that's where I find it a little challenging.
I can see that.
Right? Yeah. Like if me and you put in the exact same stuff, in theory, we would get back nearly the exact same digital piece.
Now, right? I hate to be the one to say this, but there's something that the art world has been doing for years, and it's, then why don't you? If you can.
That's the thing. And I'm a digital design and collage artist. Like a ton of painters may think what I do is the same thing, you know, on the level of like, you're not hand creating it all. So I understand. And I don't think it should be ruled out as an art, but I also think a artist who really takes pride or ownership in their work should be doing more than just using the algorithm.
That I agree with.
So I find these fascinating, beautiful, and there's so many cooler examples of like illustrations. These are just the ones popping up. I plan on showing you a bunch of stuff later because it's so cool. We'll post some cool shit. But I would love to take a landscape I build and run it through the AIs with other photos and other landscapes I've made to create these crazy new worlds that I created the concept. I built it with other pre-existing things. I made it into something my own, but I want to take it even farther. And I have the concept, but I don't know what it's going to look like. I could plug it into the AI, and then where most of the NFT people are saying, no, this is the finished AI piece, I think that's kind of lame. I want to then take what I get out of it and take it even farther and build something off of that. I think that could be so cool. So Midjourney's still in closed beta. So this is a heads up to anybody in digital art or arts or just wants to play with paint. Like, check this shit out. But they're in closed beta. You do have to apply, and they rank you on your criteria or your art, different thing, your celebrity, whatever. So I have applied. Supposedly they grant nearly everyone permission, but it takes days to weeks. So I'm hoping to get a chance to play with it, because to me, all of this is meaningless. Everything they make is meaningless outside of the fun or conceptual nature of it. If the images you get back, your final export of your AI generated image, is tiny. If it's if it's 72 DPI and 500 pixels by 1080 or whatever,
Right.
that is not worth spending any of my time except to come up with concepts, maybe.
Exactly. Get inspiration from, get an original kind of asset to use for something else. Yeah.
Remember, but if they can create high quality images, it is something worth experimenting with. Do you remember the artist Necro6 that we looked at?
Yes.
All right, check. Do you pull up their Instagram? I'll send it to you. So, very talented artist. We've featured as an honorable mention before. I got the link if you want.
Yeah.
Check out their last 3 posts, because I know this artist. I know they work very hard. This wasn't like they just plugged random shit into an AI and took the first thing that came out. In one of the posts, they kind of broke down their process. They built something, they put it through the AI, they combined it with other things they put in the AI, and they kept doing it till they got something they wanted. But the last 4 or 5 posts, these are outputs from Midjourney.
Wow.
The Requiem series. I mean, it looks like a modern take on an old master painting, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
it still fits to the artist's style as well. That's the other thing.
Right, because they were putting their own work into it and combining it with other things. I think that is fascinating. I've followed AI, me in the digital art world, I've followed this, my whole life, and to see the capability to this extent is pretty mind-blowing for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send you this too. This is just the hashtag of the app on Instagram. And this is all AI art. It's not limited to style. Like, it's not limited just landscapes or just illustration. It is pretty much anything. And it is incredible. This all looks like you were just scrolling through a regular day on Instagram in the art sections. And this is all AI generated art. And probably most of it's done by people that aren't, I'm sure a lot of it is because this particular one's still in beta, but a lot of this would be people that aren't artists at all. And that is amazing, scary, terrible, beautiful, that anybody could create something unique with the help of technology, but you no longer necessarily need any talent, skill, work, effort, technique. It's kind of terrible. I don't know. I'm really on the fence still. I'm amazed, and I look forward to playing with it. And I wonder if it's as good as I hope it is. Sorry.
I relate this to, there have been 2 massive advancements in art technology recently. So one was Photoshop. Like digital art in general, like that becoming a thing that people could do.
Changed my life.
It changed the world of art.
Dude, real quick. Yeah. I remember in first grade, I had a really nerdy friend, and I would shout him out, but I don't want to break his privacy or whatever. But he was one of my best friends in grade school, and he was a hardcore nerd, and his brother was older and even more of a hardcore nerd. Like computer parts all over the basement, or running Linux and on different like shitty PCs in like first grade. I didn't know half the shit, but they did, and I would build computer shit, all kinds of stuff with them. And I remember us stealing some sort of a torrent download, and his brother would hack it and burn me Photoshop. It took 8 discs, 8 CDs to put Photoshop. I saved up for 2 years. I bought a shitty Dell PC, and I'm running cracked Photoshop in like 7th grade, and changed my life. Like it was that was the closest thing to a miracle in my life. You know what I mean? The capabilities to be able to make art digitally was just, it was the cheat code I could unlock in my brain. I could make things quicker than ever before. I could see things in a new way. And for me to say like, these people aren't artists at all, or what they're doing has no value, or the quality isn't high enough, it's kind of missing the grand scheme, because this is the future.
Right. So there's that. There is the Photoshop, and then the other one was the advancements in animation. Being able to create animations without having to draw every single still.
After Effects and stuff.
Yeah, to be able to, do so much with less. And that when it's almost like when you see animation that's super well done and super high FPS kind of thing, like you can tell, because if you're paying attention to it, you can tell, and you can, I don't know, it's almost like it's old world style now. When you see people that have more, each drawing or each animation has more frames to it. And it's a lot more work, of course, but there's like a novelty to it now at this point.
Yeah.
The fact that you can get away with doing less and it still be a good product, a good watchable, enjoyable product at the end of it, for the people that do art that way, or have, so much time and whatnot devoted into doing it in an older style, it's almost like a slap in the face, that you can create something something that people enjoy at least as much doing less work, that you can create something that people are willing to give you money for, and support you in your work doing a lot less effort.
Now, and I know you feel similar, but, well, first, I watched a really good documentary recently on the longest hand-drawn animations, like the most time spent.
Yeah.
And there were 2 in particular. One was never finished. The final movie did come out. It looks similar to a Disney, but this wife and husband spent, maybe it was just the husband or the man, but he spent like 25 years hand-drawing every frame, and it's considered one of the longest. And then the other one is a Russian couple that together had a studio funded by the Communist Party that spent I think it was 30 years on a single animation. And they're both incredible. And there's always going to be something like a digital painter can never quite capture the magic of a classic master painting, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean the painting you will spend way more time, be able to make less, and it doesn't mean it's better, but it doesn't mean it's worse. And I think there is something to everything being digital that we lose some of the magic and importance and discipline and all of those things of the analog arts, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean we can't create things equally as meaningful a quicker digital way either. And it's not even always quicker, but these are just mind-blowing to me, though.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the most recent hand-drawn or hand-drawn animated thing. It's probably Ghibli stuff, right?
Oh, there's
I mean, I know
there's hundreds coming out every year.
that are still like the old school way.
Yeah.
I know. I know one of the things about like Ghibli movies were like that was one of the selling points on those for me to watch those for the first time was like
definitely, but I would still hazard to guess newer Ghibli. I don't really know if all of that is still hand drawn.
I know Spirited Away was.
Painted. Yeah, but it's tricky because there's still digital techniques involved. It's tricky.
Yeah.
So we were talking about deep diving Van Gogh at some point. I think it's called Loving Vincent. It's a movie about his life, Van Gogh's life, and they incorporate all of his most famous paintings into the movie, and it's animated and painted in his style, and each frame of it is painted. It is incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking wild.
Is it Loving Vincent?
Oh, I forget. It's been a long time.
Because there's William Dafoe did a movie as Van Gogh recently too, like within 6 months of Loving Vincent. Yeah, Loving Vincent, the world's first fully painted feature film.
Yeah, that movie was fucking wild.
Outstanding. 65,000 frames over 1,000 canvases. Now, I believe, I may be remembering incorrectly, but I believe most of it was still painted, but digitally, because that makes it easier to animate.
Right.
And it's like something like that. It being painted on a canvas or digitally wouldn't change from the beauty of the art. And I think that like old school artists get really hung up on if it's digital or not.
Which is, it's arguable because it's art. It's subjective, you know?
But it'll get much trickier with this AI. And even if the AI currently is low quality, like if all of these beautiful pieces we just looked at from these artists who use Midjourney,
they're all some high res glossy JPEGs, some 300 DPI.
Well, let's imagine they're not. I don't think that makes them meaningless, but it makes them a lot less important.
Yeah,
but
harder to use for anything
of value at all. But the technology will get there.
Well,
that's undeniable.
See, you can also think of it this way too. If it is a lower quality image, if it looks good on your phone, isn't that really the main media anymore?
I understand that.
I feel like that's also
hate it though.
Yeah,
I disagree.
It's arguable because for people that aren't artists, or like, you know, they don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. When they see something cool, it's like, okay, cool, hit like and then keep scrolling.
And there's some, we've had this, some of the artists even featured in Juxtapose or Beautiful Bizarre, some of these digital artists that are at the top of my field, let's say, their art is only 2 inches by 3 inches big. It is as big as you see it on a phone, and it is never any bigger because they don't even use Photoshop. They're literally using cut and paste apps on their phone. Like that's some of the biggest artists. Like people, their fans have no idea. And wouldn't care because they're not true art fans or whatever. Like they wouldn't even notice all those things. But to me, that doesn't mean it's valueless. Like they're still creating art. It's just at its base core, it's worth a lot less. And I think it is art for people that aren't artists. If your medium of choice cannot hold up to the real world and exist at all, in any form, whether it's a film or, you know what I mean? Like, on something that you can watch, on something you can hold, on something you can feel. If it can't meet any of those in any way, it's still art and it still can be meaningful and valuable, but I think it is inherently a lot less valuable.
Right.
So I'm really excited to check out this beta. I'm pretty sure I'll get approved, but I don't know when. But I really can't wait to see what the capabilities are. I think it has a monthly subscription to use most of the tools. But man, I mean, the next 10, 20 years, the capabilities of digital art, AI, and NFTs, it is really going to start pushing at the boundaries of what people believe is art, what level of respect or, value we should put on the artist, because you're going to see kids in grade school make images of one sort or another that are more beautiful than some of the master painters. Mm-hmm. So that to me is really mind-boggling.
I mean, you say they're worth less value, but if you can sell a low grade JPEG for $500, that's $500. I know what you mean. Yeah, absolutely.
It's to me, right? And I think. And when I say to me, I'm kind of projecting, I think it should be valued by everyone less if it is so small and a handful of pixels that you didn't choose where any of them went, and it can't exist outside of a screen. I do think it should be valued less. Right. But I don't think it's meaningless. And depending on...
That sounds like boomer talk to me.
It does, but if you can,
I absolutely agree with you. But the contradiction is that this is what people said about like Photoshop, and this is what
everything I do like that. Sure. Yeah. But at least I move the pixels.
Yeah,
and I make it exist in the real world, and that's the part. If I can't use the technology to at least do that, it will be worth a lot less to me,
right?
At least, yeah. Very interesting, though.
Yeah, wild shit.
A lot of crazy stuff going on in the real world, and a lot of cool, crazy stuff going on in the art world.
Fucking cool guys, man. Cool guys.
Arts and politics, baby. We need to do... we touched on it today. I look forward to our next philosophy psych dive.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything in particular you want to touch on that, or?
I don't know. I kind of like the thought crime stuff, but I know we have some plans for that, but I don't know what is calling me, but I feel like there is, like, do you ever, I'm sure you do. Do you have like side concepts? Like your brain is a bubble, mm-hmm. right? Let's go with this. Okay. Your brain is in, let's call a goldfish jar, right? Mm-hmm. And you're bobbling along throughout your life, right? Living your life, you're making food at work and stuff, and your brain's just kind of bobbing in the water, just kind of bumping around, mm-hmm. and every once in a while there's little air bubbles, and those are your thoughts, and you're thinking different things, and you're focused on what's ahead of you. Your eyes are giving you signals, and you're just living your life, but your brain's bobbing around, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I feel like one of those little thought bubbles, it instead of going to the surface, it crawls along your brain. It gets stuck, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it sticks in a certain spot, and over time, bacteria collects to it, and it starts to grow, and you have like a little underwater mushroom. Just take plant, a little thought mushroom, and it starts growing bigger and bigger till eventually you can't ignore it, and you got to reach in the fishbowl and break off that mushroom and eat it. And those are the concepts that just slowly grow in different parts of your brain, right? Yeah. Like they're operating in the background, and you feel them, and you don't know what they are, and eventually it turns into an idea. It grows into some part of you that you didn't know you had to figure out, right? Mm-hmm. I feel a squishy spot on my brain, and I'm prodding at it like a cyst. but I don't know what it is yet, and I really want to get all that gooey, warm thought material out. And eat the mushroom.
That gooey thought jizz.
Yeah, exactly. That brain jizz out of my jar.
Well, once we figure it out, we'll have something to talk about. God God damn it. I just realized I didn't unplug my fridge, so we're going to have that. I apologize for all the background audio that's probably going to be heard.
I tried to remind you.
You did remind me, and I do it every single time we record. This is how... So here's another thing.
Okay.
Every time you listen to an episode of Trash Cat's Trash Cast, my refrigerator is unplugged while we record because it's a loud, shitty bitch. And this is the first time I think I've forgotten to unplug it. So...
And I have to turn off my generator. I won't have internet here in the woods.
Yeah.
Gotta run all my extension cords and shit.
I can't wait for summertime when I have to turn off my AC to record. That was real fun last year.
Oh, I know.
Just getting hot as fuck up in here.
Just sweating on the headphones.
Yeah, I remember recording
sweating.
a podcast shirtless last year.
Oh yeah. Well, I know we haven't been lazy because we've been very busy, but we've gone kind of light and been enjoying the podcast. But I know we got some deep dives ahead. We're doing the research. Yeah, we're making the time.
We got more research stuff coming up. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to say before ending?
No, I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, I think I got enough mental mushrooms
for today.
Yeah, we'll see what tomorrow grows. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Stephen. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at approaching-human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trash Cat's Trashcast on Instagram for news and arts from the show. Also, check out Facebook for the memes.
If you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZACX. I had something new last week that I really liked a lot, and I would love to run that through some AI and play with that.
I would love to see, you said, some landscapes of yours. I think that could be fun.
Yeah, in my application, I was like, please look at my Instagram and trust me, I will do something cool with this.
Yeah. I'll figure out something cool.
Yeah. Got some new work on the way. And I think that's it. Shouts out to Soft White Underbelly. Please check them out. Unlock new AI art. If you want to check out Midjourney, put an application for the beta. Look up Putin. Find if he's got cancer for us. That'd be great. And try to have abortions.
Yep. That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.